What's up, guys? In the works, and we've got a lot of stuff to talk about, but it's been a few days since we've talked. I actually took a few days off for the weekend because I was busy. But while I did that, there was plenty of info that came down the pipe. I'm sure you guys have seen a lot of it. There's a lot of new air superiority info. There's a lot of new capture the flag info, and we've actually gotten the names of every single map now and some screenshots of them. So a lot of in-game stuff to kind of digest. But we're going to talk about game modes. We're going to talk about in-game. There's going to be a little bit of everything in this video, so stick around. But the gameplay you're watching is some gun master or gun game. If you prefer to go with the old classic title from Counter-Strike, I know that's what I call it. I played so much gun game in Counter-Strike and even Call of Duty, which I know it wasn't the original, guys, that I tend to just call it gun game instead of gun master. But this is one of the first new game modes that Battlefield 3 introduced, unless you count Conquest Assault, which I do not. Conquest Assault was just like reintroduced with the car can DLC. It was an old game type. Old dog, new tricks, same old, same old. But this particular game you're going to be watching is actually a game I joined pretty late, and I make a game of it. Yeah, that was a bad pun. But anyways, it's a pretty entertaining game. I won't spoil the outcome, but let's get started on what we want to talk about. Let's talk about the new maps. There's some high-res screenshots that are out there. And if you follow the Battlefield 3 blog closely, you've probably seen a lot of info about them. Let's start with the first. We've seen tons of this map already. I would say most of the footage has come from this particular map, and this is Operation Riverside. Looks cool, looks like a new Caspian border, I've mentioned that before, so I expect it to play a lot like that. This is actually one of the coolest looking maps I've seen in Battlefield 3, but the next map is the tricky to pronounce one. We're going to go with Nebandan, I don't know. Flats, something like that. It's hard to pronounce. DICE is really weird when it comes to names. They always pick the hardest names to pronounce in the world. But this is our summertime map. It looks dry, it looks arid. Looks like it's going to be your typical desert map, similar to like Firestorm and whatnot. But the next two maps are the most intriguing in my eyes, and this one is the Keosar Railroad. And I think technically this is our springtime map. They don't actually say. It looks like Riverside is our fall map, and this one is our spring map. It looks much more vibrant, a lot of green, a lot of color on this map, and it's in a logging community, so that's kind of cool. It's almost like a Death Valley if you remove the blue filter, took away the stupid blue filter, made it daytime. You get this map right here, Keosar Railroad, and apparently there's some strategic locations along the railroad to make it exciting. But the last map is what everybody's excited about, and this is Sabalan Pipeline, another hard to pronounce name, definitely not as hard as the Flats map, which we won't even try to pronounce again, but this one's really cool because it is in the winter. And in my eyes, this is our first true snow map, because Alvarez Mountain is technically there's snow there, but it just doesn't feel like a true snow map, whereas this one, there's a lot of landscapes that are just covered in snow. So that makes me wonder what they're going to do with camos and stuff like that, because I could imagine if you're running around in your Ninja Turtle green camos, you're going to stand out pretty easily on these maps. So it leads me to think maybe they'll give us some more camo. I don't know. I'm not really sure if they're done with all that stuff. Maybe I've heard that once this DLC comes out, they're pulling the plug. That's it. No more drops. Nothing's left on the calendar. Somebody actually even said that we've gotten all of our content drops. So I don't know if that's true. I'll have to consult the calendar. But I could see them maybe throwing in a little snow camo just so we don't look stupid. Because I don't know too many military people who would be running around in the snow wearing bright green camos. So I'm actually kind of interested to see how that plays out. But I think overall the maps look really cool. If you want to read a little bit more about them, the Battlefield 3 blog will have small descriptions about it. I will link that in the description for you guys. It gives a short little synopsis of how they expect the maps to play out. But I think overall, I think we're going to be in for a treat. So let me know what you guys thought about the maps. But the next little bit of info is the stuff about Capture the Flag. And it appears that Capture the Flag is actually going to be a little bit more exciting than I actually predicted. There's actually going to be two dynamic locations for flags, so the flag locations can change. But the thing that really caught my eye is that they said that when you're recapturing a flag, you actually have to hold the area around the flag and capture it similar to like you would capture like a conquest point. So that's actually kind of cool. I'm interested to see how that works. I mean, that sounds like it's going to be a lot more tactical than, let's say, like a Call of Duty type capture the flag, where as soon as you touch the flag, it's like boom, you've recaptured the flag, it's reset, it's back at base. So I'm curious to see how that plays out. I think this could be a really awesome game mode, and I would say for a general whole, most of the game modes they've introduced have been a little bit lackluster. I mean, let's face it, I don't think too many people would disagree with me with that. I think Gunmaster, although it had good intentions and it had the potential to be fun, it's more like just a gimmick game mode. It's just tacked on there, and the fact that you didn't really have a whole lot of variety until Aftermath came out in terms of like gun variations. It took them forever for that, so you had to play with these default gun variations that you see me using right here for the longest time. Luckily with Aftermath we can change that up a little bit now, but it really made the game mode stale, and I think a lot of people just pretty much gave up on it. You don't see a lot of Gunmaster servers going, and I think that's for a good reason. So Scavenger did pretty well. I think Scavenger is a pretty popular game mode. Granted, not a lot of people play it still, but I think as a rule it was one of the more popular game modes that DICE introduced. But I think Capture the Flag can actually be a game mode that people play and actually like play consistently. You know, it's something that a team can play. It's something that if you've played a lot of Battlefield 3, this is a reason to come back and play it again. I mean, that's something that I think is pretty important, especially if you've stopped playing the game. You know, you're bored of all the normal game types. Here you have Capture the Flag, which isn't going to be just normal Capture the Flag. It's actually going to have some thought into it. You're going to have to play pretty tactical to be successful. Gives people something to come back to the game, and I'm actually pretty excited about that. Now, the final little bit of information is air superiority. They actually announced that there's going to be 24 jets aside on air superiority. I was like, what? 24 jets? That's ridiculous. I don't even know how to digest this info. I mean, this is like, I saw that and I was like, 24 jets? I mean, that's 12v12 basically. How on earth are you going to avoid that many lock-on missiles? I could see it being very, very frustrating. So I don't really know how I feel about this. I think that, you know, it could be a fun game mode, but 12v12 in jets could be a little chaotic. Hey, I don't know. I'm not really a jet pilot, so maybe that sounds fun to you guys. To me, all I can think about is lock-on radar spam. I could see it being like where everyone has lock-on missiles and they're just locking onto you, and it's just not a fun time whatsoever. So if you're a jet pilot, let me know what you think about that news, because when I saw that at first I was like, wait, isn't that a lot of jets? Isn't that going to suck? But then I thought about it, and I was like, well, since I'm not really a very skilled jet pilot, I would say I'm very below average. Maybe I really don't know what I'm talking about. So hopefully that's the case, because I actually wanted to try this game mode out and hopefully not get owned as much as I probably will. But it's some interesting news nonetheless. Air superiority is probably going to shape up to be a pretty fun game mode for you guys who are jet pilots. But I ended up getting third place. I couldn't catch up to those guys. I joined the server so late that I just could not catch up. But let me know what you guys think. What do you think of all this news? There's so much in this video. I know it's a lot to digest. We talked about maps. We talked about the game modes. What are you most excited for? The game mode, Capture the Flag, the dirt bikes, the maps? What do you think about the maps as a whole? Leave a comment in the description, because I'm actually kind of curious, because you guys are the Battlefield community. I actually really, you know, genuinely want to know what you guys think about our final DLC, because this has been quite a journey through Battlefield 3. It's had its ups and downs, but we're finally to the point where we're almost to the last DLC. It's shaping up to be really, really awesome. I think they're taking a lot of the momentum they had from Aftermath and carrying it into in-game. So let me know in the comments. If you missed any of my other videos, here's a chance to catch up, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.